Let's do some very straightforward, easy to follow calculation here, people. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. Wilder's purse was $4 million. Fury's purse was $3 million. This is from the CBS Sports website. Bear in mind that Showtime, the network which aired this fight, is a subsidiary of CBS. So remember those figures. Wilder earned $4 million, Fury earned $3 million. That was their baseline purses. Now with pay-per-view on top, the fight did around 325,000 buys, which grossed around $24 million. But half of that money goes to cable and satellite providers. Notice it says providers, plural. So that leaves $12 million. Now, do the promoters take a cut of that $12 million pay-per-view revenue? I don't know. Are there any other parties who take a cut of it other than the fighters? I don't know. How was the $12 million divided between the fighters? Was it 50-50? Did Fury get any of the $12 million? I don't know. But let's just, for the sake of this calculation, use the $12 million figure and assume that the fighters kept all of it and the promoters got none of it. Okay? So let's add the $12 million to the baseline purses, $4 million and $3 million. You get a total of $19 million. So Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury generated $19 million combined between the two of them in terms of what they took home. Combined, $19 million. Meanwhile, Anthony Joshua against Alexander Povetkin made £20 million just by himself. That's not including Povetkin's purse. That's just by himself, £20 million. In dollars, £20 million is equivalent to just under $26 million. So Anthony Joshua, by himself, his own purse, $26 million was more, a lot more, than Wilder and Fury's purses, including pay-per-view on top, combined. But yet, these two are asking for 50-50 against AJ. What planet are we living on here? And bear in mind that Wilder and Fury was a fight that had a hell of a lot of money spent on promotion. In fact, so much money was spent on promotion that it says here, in order for the promotion, that fight to actually break even, they had to do 250,000 pay-per-view buys just to break even. That's how much money they spent on promotion for Wilder Fury. And Wilder and Fury are supposed to be the two of the biggest names in the heavyweight division. And against each other, they couldn't even combined make as much money as Anthony Joshua made alone. Povetkin's purse was about £6 million. You do the math to find out what that is in dollars. So again, Anthony Joshua against Povetkin, a man who most people in Britain have never even heard of. He can generate a $26 million purse just for himself against Povetkin, a man most people in Britain have never heard of. Whereas Wilder and Fury, with all the money of Showtime and BT Sport and everything behind them promoting it, combined only made $19 million. Around $7 million less than Anthony Joshua made on his own against Povetkin. And they're asking for 50-50. Again, what planet are we living on here? Now, I've heard some people say, well, Fury deserves 50-50 because if he hadn't beat Klitschko and been stripped of his belts and relinquished certain belts, Anthony Joshua wouldn't have a career. So that's why Fury deserves 50-50. Well, boxing purses have got nothing to do with how you got your titles, whether you fought for a vacant belt or whatever the case may be. No, boxing purses are determined by your market value. How many pay-per-views you can sell, how many people tune in to watch your events, how many tickets you can sell at the gate. This is what determines the purse you're going to get in a fight. I've given you the example before of Marcus Maidana when he fought Floyd Mayweather. Marcus Maidana, a credible welterweight, a former world champion. He didn't get paid anywhere near as much for his fight against Mayweather, either fight, as Conor McGregor did when McGregor fought Mayweather. But McGregor was making his pro debut. McGregor was not a more credible fighter than Marcus Maidana, a more credible boxer. No, he wasn't. So if you're talking about who deserved more based on their boxing achievements, Maidana, quote unquote, deserved more. If you're talking about from an ethical or moral point of view, because he's achieved so much. But again, boxing purses are mainly determined by your market value. And like it or not, more people wanted to see Conor McGregor against Mayweather than wanted to see Maidana against Mayweather. Whether you think it's fair or not, that's the reality. And that's why McGregor got paid way more than most of Mayweather's credible opponents. That's how it works. And as far as Tyson Fury giving Anthony Joshua his career, you know, let's explore that, people. Let's explore it. Tyson Fury fought most of his early career in complete obscurity. That's the reality of it. He wasn't a star when he was coming up through the ranks. He never fought a pay-per-view before he won a world title. His first pay-per-view was against Vladimir Klitschko. And what fight was that? That was Tyson Fury's 25th fight. So his first pay-per-view was in his 25th fight. And that was because he was fighting Vladimir Klitschko, a guy who was very well known worldwide. A guy who was a much bigger name than Fury was. Tyson Fury, no disrespect to him, tremendous fighter. But he was fighting in little arenas against obscure opposition when he was promoted by Mick Hennessy. Even though he was on Channel 5, most of the British public really didn't care to watch him. So he wasn't some big star before he fought Klitschko. Let's compare that to Anthony Joshua and see if Anthony Joshua owes his career to Fury like people claim. Well, Anthony Joshua turned professional against Emanuele Leo as an Olympic gold medalist, so there was a lot of fanfare. Now, he wasn't fighting on Channel 5. He was fighting on Sky, who had a lot more money to put in to promoting him than Channel 5 did to promoting Fury. He was with Eddie Hearn, not Mick Hennessy, who is a much bigger promoter with much more resources. Unlike Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua decided to be politically correct. And because of that, he was able to get on television programs, chat shows, game shows, etc. Also, Anthony Joshua is very popular with females. And because of his popularity with females, that brought in a whole different demographic. Combined with all the male boxing fans, there was also pre-existing female boxing fans, and then a whole heap of other females who came in who were not previously boxing fans, but they just like Anthony Joshua. On top of all that, Anthony Joshua was knocking people out. That's what people want to see in a heavyweight, is someone who puts people's lights out and is exciting. And so, through the early part of Anthony Joshua's career, there was a massive amount of excitement surrounding him, far more than there was surrounding Tyson Fury and Fury's early career. Anthony Joshua was groomed for stardom and was on the path for stardom long before Tyson Fury fought Vladimir Klitschko. Facts. In Anthony Joshua's 15th fight, was it his 15th fight against Dillian Whyte? Let's just check here. Yeah, it was. In Anthony Joshua's 15th fight, he was headlining at the O2 in a pay-per-view against Dillian Whyte. Anthony Joshua had been built up so much that he was able to fight in a pay-per-view for the British title in his 15th fight and pack out the O2. That's how much of a star the guy was before he even fought for a title. Tyson Fury, on the other hand, and you know, the O2 holds what, 20,000 people? And he's only fighting for a British title against Dillian Whyte. And at the time, most of the British public had no idea who Dillian Whyte was. So it was really 20,000 people coming to see Anthony Joshua. And the pay-per-views. Yeah, Dillian Whyte played his part, the beef and all that kind of business. But most of the people buying the pay-per-view were buying it because they wanted to see Anthony Joshua. And the pay-per-view, Joshua against Whyte, Anthony Joshua made about £3 million for the Dillian Whyte fight. A British title fight. And Anthony Joshua made £3 million for a British title fight. In his 15th fight. Now, that had nothing to do with Tyson Fury. Nothing to do with him at all. Joshua was already headed for stardom before he ever fought for a title. These are the facts. Tyson Fury wasn't headed for stardom. No. But Anthony Joshua was. And again, it's because Joshua was exciting for most of his fights, because he was well promoted by Eddie Hearn, because he had a massive push from Sky, because he had an Olympic gold medal, because he was very marketable, because he's very politically correct, because he had this large female audience, because he's knocking people out, etc., etc. And being politically correct, he was able to get all the sponsorship deals, the endorsement deals. Television companies want him to put in on game shows and talk shows, and that increases his visibility and makes him a household name. This is why Anthony Joshua got popular, not because of Tyson Fury. In Tyson Fury's 15th fight, he fought a rematch he fought the first fight against Derek Chisora. That was Fury's 15th fight. That was at the Wembley Arena. What's the capacity of the Wembley Arena? It's 12,000. Was it even a sellout at the Wembley Arena? You guys tell me. But the capacity is 12,500. The capacity of the O2 is 20,000. Tyson Fury against Chisora, the first fight, was certainly not a pay-per-view. What was it on? Channel 5? Was the whole country jumping up and down for Tyson Fury versus Derek Chisora? Can you compare that in any way to Joshua versus Whyte as an event? Was Tyson Fury making $3 million against Chisora in the first fight? Absolutely, definitely not. Not even anywhere close to that. So once again, Anthony Joshua was destined to be a star long before he fought for any world titles. He was already on that course. This had nothing to do with Tyson Fury, or very little to do with him. In fact, it's the opposite. Tyson Fury's popularity has actually grown because of him constantly having AJ's name in his mouth. That's the reality of it. Just compare their careers before they became world champions. Who was more popular? AJ was way more popular. Tyson Fury has cultivated a following really after he became world champion because he kept Anthony Joshua's name in his mouth. Kept slagging him off, running him down on Twitter week in, week out. And he's managed to build up this rivalry between himself and AJ. And that allowed him to increase his visibility. You see, AJ, along with Eddie Hearn, Carl Froch, the whole Matchroom Sky Sports crew, they have revitalized British boxing. That's what they've done. Let's be real about it. Not Tyson Fury. No. AJ, Matchroom, Froch, a few other fighters thrown in there. They revitalized British boxing. And Sky Sports, obviously. Yeah? And as far as the belt situation, Tyson Fury was stripped of his IBF title, the first title that Anthony Joshua won, because Tyson Fury, for some bizarre reason, decided to sign a rematch clause for his fight against Vladimir Klitschko. Now, for those of you who don't know, Fury was a mandatory challenger for Klitschko. And if you are a mandatory challenger, you are not obligated to fight a rematch. But Tyson Fury and his team, his promoter Mick Hennessy, they decided for some strange reason to sign a rematch clause and agree to a rematch. I have no idea why. They didn't have to do that, but they did. So that's their fault. And because they signed up for the rematch when they shouldn't have, they couldn't face their mandatory Glazkov because Klitschko executed the rematch clause straight away. And because Fury couldn't fight his mandatory Glazkov, he was stripped to the IBF belt. Simple as that. It was Fury's own fault. It was his team's own fault. And as far as failing the PED tests, what, is that Anthony Joshua's fault? People, Tyson Fury, among his fanatical followers, has this ridiculous status as some kind of messianic figure who can do no wrong. And he also has this status as a perpetual victim. Like nothing bad that's ever happened in Tyson Fury's career is of his own making. What an absolutely ridiculous notion that is. That everything that's happened to Tyson Fury was somebody else's fault. None of it is his own fault. It's all someone else's fault. And the whole heavyweight division should thank Tyson Fury. Well, what was he doing before he won a world title? Was he selling out arenas and doing pay-per-views? Did he have the whole of British boxing buzzing before he fought Klitschko? No, he didn't. He was fighting in obscurity. So, again, Anthony Joshua owes his success to obviously his own hard work, to the promotion from Sky, the promotion from Eddie Hearn, the fact that he's got all these female fans, the fact that he's been exciting, the fact that he's remained politically correct, so he's got all the sponsorships and endorsements and he's got all over TV and what have you. And also the fact that he's achieved a hell of a lot in a short space of time. In just 22 fights, he's unified heavyweight champion. But yet, forget about all that. He owes it all to Tyson Fury. This is what idiots are expecting us to believe. Absolute nonsense. If Tyson Fury had gone the same route as Anthony Joshua, which is impossible really because they're different fighters, so Tyson Fury was never going to be as powerful and dynamic a puncher as Anthony Joshua. But either way, if he'd gone the same route as Joshua, if he'd played the whole politically correct angle, if he'd signed with Matchroom, if he'd been on Sky Sports, if he'd been guided by Eddie Hearn in terms of the fights that he picked for him, then I can't say Tyson Fury would have been as popular as AJ, but he certainly would have been a lot more popular than he was going the route that he went with Mick Hennessy and then Frank Warren. Yeah, he would have been a lot more popular if he'd gone with Matchroom. And that's not no Matchroom fanboy business. That's just cold hard facts. Are you trying to tell me that Mick Hennessy is a top promoter in the UK? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You're trying to tell me that Mick Hennessy can get you to the level that a Matchroom can get you to? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Box Nation was never a serious competitor of Sky Sports. Facts. So what the hell do you think's going to happen? Who do you think's going to have more exposure and more market value in the long run? Someone fighting on Box Nation and Channel 5 with Mick Hennessy? Or someone fighting on Sky Sports? Getting a multi-million-pound push. People, it's not rocket science. Vladimir Klitschko was going to lose eventually. I predicted this a long time ago. I did not predict that Tyson Fury would be the guy to do it, but I did say repeatedly for a long time in many videos that there is no way Vladimir Klitschko is going to get through this new crop of heavyweights. Somebody, at least one of them, is going to beat him. It's inevitable because these young heavyweights are not like the guys Vladimir Klitschko's been beating for the majority of his title reign. No, they're not. For one, they're much bigger than most of the guys Klitschko fought during his title reign. They're much more talented. They're much more hungry. Klitschko, as great as he was reigning over a relatively weak era. It did not have the talent in the division back then that it has today. There's far more talent now in terms of contenders than there was during the Klitschko reign. So it was inevitable that Klitschko was going to lose to somebody. If it weren't Fury, it would have eventually been Joshua or somebody else. Someone was going to get him. Now, Fury did a fantastic job. Beat the guy on points in his backyard. Trust me, I praise Fury to the max when he was able to get that win. But was he a household name? No, he wasn't. And there are many, many different reasons for that. Whereas Anthony Joshua was destined for stardom from the very beginning. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.